What if I told you the entire global economy could be shaken in just 48 hours? What if a single waterway, just a narrow strip of sea, became the center of a potential world war? And what if the United States has just issued a direct ultimatum, not diplomacy, not negotiation, but a ticking clock? Right now, tensions are exploding in the Middle East after former U.S. President Donald Trump warned Iran with a chilling message: reopen the Strait of Hormuz within 48 hours or face devastating attacks on your power infrastructure. And this is not just political talk. This is a real threat that could impact oil prices, global markets, and even everyday life across the world. Because the Strait of Hormuz. What if I told you the entire global economy could be shaken in just 48 hours? What if a single waterway, just a narrow strip of sea, became the center of a potential world war? And what if the United States has just issued a direct ultimatum, not diplomacy, not negotiation, but a ticking clock? Right now, tensions are exploding in the Middle East after former U.S. President Donald Trump warned Iran with a chilling message: reopen the Strait of Hormuz within 48 hours or face devastating attacks on your power infrastructure. And this is not just political talk. This is a real threat that could impact oil prices, global markets, and even everyday life across the world. Because the Strait of Hormuz isn't just any waterway, it is one of the most critical choke points on Earth. Nearly 20% of the world's oil supply passes through this narrow passage every single day. Now, imagine what happens when that flow is disrupted. Tankers halted, energy prices skyrocketing, economies shaken, and that's exactly what is happening. Reports confirm that Iran has effectively restricted or threatened shipping through the strait, creating a near blockade that has already sent shockwaves across global markets. Oil prices have surged, gas costs are rising, and countries around the world are watching nervously. But then came the ultimatum. Donald Trump took to social media with a message that stunned analysts and escalated the situation dramatically. He warned that if Iran does not fully reopen the strait within 48 hours, the United States will strike and obliterate Iranian power plants, starting with the largest ones. Think about what that means. This is not just a military strike on weapons or bases. This is a direct threat to civilian infrastructure, electricity, energy, daily life inside Iran. It marks a major escalation in the conflict, moving beyond battlefield targets into the heart of a nation's functioning system. And Iran did not stay silent. Tehran responded with its own warning: if the U.S. attacks its energy infrastructure, it will retaliate by targeting American and allied infrastructure across the region. Now the situation is no longer just about a waterway, it's about a potential chain reaction. Because once energy infrastructure becomes a target, everything becomes vulnerable. Power grids, oil refineries, gas facilities, even cyber systems. And the conflict is already expanding. In recent days, Iran launched missile attacks toward Israeli cities near sensitive nuclear sites, causing injuries and damage. There have also been attempts to strike U.S. and allied bases in the region, signaling that this conflict is no longer contained, it is spreading. Meanwhile, the United States has increased military deployments, and airstrikes have already hit Iranian targets connected to naval and missile capabilities. But here's the part most people are missing. Just days ago, Trump hinted at winding down the conflict. Now, suddenly, he is issuing one of the most aggressive ultimatums we've seen in years. So what changed? The answer lies in energy and pressure. The closure of the Strait of Hormuz is not just a military issue, it is an economic weapon. When oil stops flowing, the entire world feels it. Prices rise, inflation increases, and governments face pressure from their own citizens. In fact, energy prices have already surged significantly due to the crisis, adding urgency to the situation. And Trump is now under pressure, not just from the global market, but also politically. Reopening the strait quickly has become a priority, and instead of waiting for international cooperation, which has been slow and uncertain, he has chosen a direct and forceful approach. But this strategy comes with massive risks, because Iran has made it clear it will not back down easily. This is a country that has already demonstrated its ability to strike targets across the region. It has missile capabilities, drone systems, and influence through allied groups in multiple countries. If Iran follows through with its threats, we could see attacks not just in the Gulf, but across the Middle East and possibly beyond. And then there's the global angle. Major powers are watching closely. Some countries are considering joining efforts to secure the strait, but many are hesitant. Why? Because this is no longer a simple conflict. It's unpredictable. It involves multiple players, and it could escalate at any moment. Even NATO allies have shown reluctance to fully support the U.S. in this situation, raising questions about how isolated or supported Washington might be if things spiral further. Now, let's talk about the timeline. 48 hours. That's the window given to Iran. In geopolitical terms, that is extremely short. It means decisions must be made quickly, under pressure, with very little room for negotiation. And every hour that passes increases tension. Markets react, militaries prepare, diplomats scramble, and ordinary people, millions of them, wait to see what happens next. Because if the deadline passes without action, the consequences could be immediate. U.S. strikes on Iranian power plants, Iranian retaliation on regional targets, possible disruption of even more oil routes, and a wider conflict that could pull in multiple countries. So this is why analysts are calling this moment one of the most dangerous turning points in the ongoing crisis, because it combines three explosive elements: military escalation, energy disruption, and a strict, ticking deadline. And history has shown us, when those three come together, the results can be unpredictable and often catastrophic. Now, here's the critical question. Will Iran reopen the strait, or will it stand its ground? If it reopens, tensions may ease, at least temporarily. But if it refuses, we could be looking at a new phase of conflict, one that directly targets infrastructure and expands beyond traditional battlefields. And once that line is crossed, it becomes much harder to go back. Because infrastructure warfare affects civilians, it disrupts entire economies, and it creates ripple effects far beyond the immediate conflict zone. So, what happens next? Right now, the world is watching the clock. Every statement, every movement, every signal matters. Diplomatic channels may still be active behind the scenes, but publicly, the tone is hardening. This is no longer quiet diplomacy. This is open pressure, open threats, and open risk. And perhaps the most important takeaway from all of this is simple. This is not just about the U.S. and Iran. This is about global stability. Because when a single waterway that carries nearly a fifth of the world's oil is at risk, everyone is affected, from fuel prices at your local station to the cost of goods in supermarkets to the stability of entire economies. And now, all of it hangs on a 48-hour countdown. The question is, what happens when that countdown ends? Will we see de-escalation, or will the world wake up to a new phase of conflict? Because right now, the clock is ticking.